Practical Magic offers audiences an eclectic blend of drama and romance, with a generous sprinkle of magic and the supernatural. Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock have wonderful chemistry as the Owens sisters, and many fans have fond memories of the 1998 movie. Despite how beloved Practical Magic is now, it was not a success upon release. The movie famously flopped at the box office, with unremarkable takings. Critics also had mixed opinions. While some had positive things to say, many focused on specific issues, such as the movie's tone, as negative aspects. A middling critical and box office performance doesn't necessarily mean a film is bad. Many underrated projects find an audience years after their theatrical release, and that appears to be true for Practical Magic. Fans look back on the Owens sisters' story fondly and appreciate the film for its timeless 90s charm. What is more unusual is for that audience appreciation to pave the way for a sequel. Practical Magic 2 already has a trailer and is due to premiere in September this year. We don't know how the sequel will build on the 1998 classic, and we will have to wait to learn more about the infamous Owens family curse. If you're already a fan of Practical Magic, you won't need an excuse to rewatch it in preparation for the sequel. The movie is an easy watch, with superb casting and a whimsical tone. It's not hard to see why audiences adore the movie, but some things do stand out after multiple viewings. Practical Magic doesn't thoroughly explain everything, and some scenarios are borderline unbelievable, even for a film about witches. These quirks don't detract from the movie's classic status, but you'll certainly notice them during a 2026 rewatch. With this in mind, here are 10 harsh realities of watching Practical Magic today. 10. The original movie has a jarring tone. One of the most unforgettable parts of Practical Magic is its joyful, whimsical tone. The soundtrack is light and playful, and that is part of the movie's charm. However, the score also makes light of some heavy scenes. For example, Sally's first love in the movie meets his untimely end in a road accident. It should be a dour moment, but the music is relentlessly jolly, and Sally's search for the Deathwatch beetle has no emotional weight. This playful tone persists as Jimmy dies from belladonna and as Sally and Jillian revive him with the resurrection spell. The tone isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it does stand out. 9. The rules of spell casting are never explained. Practical Magic isn't the only movie with spells to fall into this trap, but spell casting doesn't seem to have any strict rules. That lack of rules can make magic feel more like a plot device than a power. Some of the funniest scenes in the movie are thanks to off-the-cuff spells. Jillian magically putting Sally's name at the top of the phone tree will always be a highlight, but how did she do it? We see many spells requiring setup, ingredients, and incantations. Others only require a hand gesture, and sometimes nothing at all. Audiences never truly understand the limits of magic, either. Spells exist to bring people back from the dead, but can they do the opposite more effectively than a traceable poison? We may see these limitations explored in the sequel. 8. Gary relies more on intuition than evidence in his investigation. It's fair to say that Gary Hallett, Aidan Quinn, is a unique investigator for numerous reasons. By Sally's admission, he has traits that can't exist, but that also extends to his detective skills. Much of Gary's investigation into Jimmy's disappearance is condensed in Practical Magic, but we don't see him do much real detective work. As Jillian said, no body, no crime, but Gary didn't even think about searching the house grounds. Sally arguably outs herself from the start, but Gary seems to guess almost everything correctly while gathering very little evidence. Even the poison from Jimmy's car means very little, considering he never found a body. 7. Gary's dynamic with the Owens sisters is bizarre. One thing fans will immediately notice during a rewatch is just how quickly Gary becomes personal with the Owens family. It's hard to say how long the investigator stayed in the town, but it seems he's in the house, making pancakes with the children within a matter of days. It makes for a heartwarming scene, but is it normal for law enforcement to have a cozy breakfast with suspects in a missing persons case? We know Gary falls madly in love with Sally under circumstances beyond his control, but he also takes several wild occurrences in his stride. He sees a frog cough up Jimmy's ring and witnesses Sally stirring coffee with magic, for example, and remains unfazed. 6. There are many unanswered questions regarding Sally's impossible man spell. To avoid dying of a broken heart, a young Sally casts a true love spell. It's a poignant scene because Sally never wants to fall in love and explains, "The guy I dreamed of doesn't exist." The man Sally described had impossible qualities, or so she thought. Gary has every trait she detailed, but this event poses many questions. Did the spell create Gary? We don't know Gary's age, but was he already alive when Sally cast the spell? Assuming Sally described a man who didn't have impossible qualities, it's worth wondering how Gary was just suddenly drawn to her. The biggest question is arguably whether it's true love at all, or simply a spell working as intended. 5. The witches are seemingly unaware that possession could occur with the resurrection spell. The aunts refrain from bringing Sally's first partner back from the dead despite her pleas. They explain that he would return as something dark and unnatural. One risk nobody seems aware of is possession. During the movie, Jimmy dies, is resurrected, and then dies again. At some point, he gains the power to possess Jillian, but we never really know how or why. We don't really understand much about Jimmy's ghost form either. He burns his hand on Gary's star badge during their encounter and vanishes until later. It's quite possible that Jillian and Sally simply didn't know that Jimmy could come back with such a dangerous ability, but it's not fully explained. For the townsfolk conveniently forget their fear of witches. One of the most heartwarming scenes in Practical Magic is when Sally uses her status at the top of the phone tree and calls on the townsfolk for help. She admits to them all that she is a witch, and they quickly come to her aid.